Students of Reddit, what is your weirdest or NSFW thing you've caught a teacher doing? Not necessarily NSFW, but I had a history professor who had a nervous habit of checking to make sure the zipper on his trousers was done every couple minutes. It was really distracting, and it looked like he was messing with his junk. I bet he was panicking during lessons, trying to not make it obvious. The weird thing is that he was in his 60s and had been teaching it for 20 years. So probably incontinence issues then. Incontinency has a wife, you know. Teacher got a porn virus alert on their laptop. Projected to around 60 people. Started asking who knew how to get rid of a hacker. That's actually quite common scamming technique. Message with porn allegations comes up. Hacker will say your porn history with your family if you don't pay, and many people rather pay than ask for help. In reality, scammer has nothing on them, and the virus most likely came from a church website. Don't remember where, but I learned that you are 3 times more likely to get a virus from a church site than a porn site. That's sad. No, it turned out to be great. Redheadswithbigboobs.com. Praise the Lord. Teaching the class with enthusiasm. That's weird. Especially if it was sex ed. Okay students, it's time for practicals. Who's up for it? Imagine how many people would experience their first time end only. Sorry time if this happened. Once I was sitting down at table with other people, then the art teacher came and whispered something to a girl's ear as he was rubbing her shoulders. Hell no. Jail. This gives me PTSD. I freaking swear he always had a boner when I was in that class. Please tell me he got fired. You already know he didn't. Had a government teacher who was a creepy old dude. There was a girl in class that had big breasts, so they hung out of her shirt a bit. The teacher would just stare off into her tits sometimes. Once he completely zoned out and stopped talking. Once during lecture he went right over to her and pulled up on her shirt to cover them up more and touch them some. No one knew what to say or do. We all just sat there shocked. I feel so sorry for the girl. Like that man is a pedo. Pedophilia is a sustained, focused, and intense pattern of sexual arousal as manifested by persistent sexual thoughts, fantasies, urges, or behaviors involving prepubertal children. So I would say no. In this case it wasn't pedophilia. Stop justifying a teacher sexualizing his students. Even worse if she's underage and not a university student. Am I justifying teacher? Can you point it somewhere? I'm just saying that pedophilia is a wrong term for the teacher. The correct term would be either hebophilia or ephobophilia. It wasn't me that walked in on it, but a student walked in on a teacher fingering his girlfriend. Also a teacher. The baby looked at you? Heard a few years ago a math teacher accidentally projected porn during an exam. He was fired very soon. Oh wow. My teachers and the principal were in the closet making babies and I saw one of the babies, and then the baby looked at me. The baby looked at you? What did the district superintendent think? We don't know. He was at home crying like a little girl because someone stole the H off of his new 1970s Honda. AWW. That's how you know it's a Honda. My middle school history teacher invited me to a concert in the woods in another state. We would have had to camp together if I went. This teacher gives me bad vibes. Me too, I don't want to know what would have happened if I went. My 16-year-old classmate. Female teacher, male student. That's awful. Looking at a porn websites filled with people our age, 17 to 18. Once I caught him. He asked if I wanted to join. I full on noped myself out of that situation. I've social anxiety, so I didn't tell anyone. 17 at the time. You should probably make an anonymous complaint or something, if he is working still there. Now I think he moved away with his wife to New York. Walked in on my professor blowing cocaine one time. Was cocaine enjoying it? I had a maths teacher that was a known heavy drinker. He would often go to the local on a Friday lunch and fail to show up back at school until Monday. Was a really nice old boy. He would even sit and have a beer with us sixth formers. Was mad into cricket. I miss him. Was so very fragile, but very human. Edit for spelling. Old art teacher in high school had the desks arranged in a U shape in his room with his desk sitting in the opening of the U. He would have all the girls sit at the desks directly opposite him. In a school with mandatory school uniforms and girls only allowed to wear skirts, along with the naked Barbie dolls he had posed along the top of his blackboard lighting. This was insanely creepy. I would have always skipped that class if I was in it. While everyone was working on their projects, my teacher thought that using a vibrator was a good idea, but of course people will hear me, she probably said to herself. So, to try to ward off attention, she told the class that the air conditioner was broken and it was going to make weird noises once it's turned on. She got up, turned it on, and sat back down. No noise. She claimed that the noise will start randomly, and sure enough, I eventually heard it. No one could give two shits about what she was saying and everyone was far enough from her for almost no one to notice. I knew exactly what was happening as I recognized that sound. I recognized that type of flinch she made. And to top it off, she just happened to have a book covering her face. Yikes, just to be the only one to know. He was by far my favorite teacher. Then he died of a heart attack at age 30. I miss him. He made my favorite subject even better. I would talk to him after each lesson and ask him questions about physics. I actually went to his funeral and cried. And now someone's cutting onions in my room. If I was a physics teacher, I would want my tombstone to say, "A body at rest will remain at rest." I'm 99% sure my 9th grade biology teacher used to grind on the edge of her chair. I noticed one day her moving around a little, kind of rocking very slow. She was looking down, like she was reading, but looked confused or upset. Then I noticed she wasn't even centered in her chair. She was more on the edge of it. Anyway, I witnessed this a few more times that year. Sorry, that's it. Shoulder told her I can help ya with that. No. Grade 4 teacher got caught multiple times jerking off in class. He is still teaching, and I'm in uni now. If I caught him, I would have known what he was doing. When I was in year 5, a really hot teacher never wears a bra and would lean over my desk to help me with schoolwork. Yikes. I have the same thing. Not necessarily NSFW, but my accounting professor was a young, gorgeous Indian woman. She had an accent, so she'd say things like you can compound it and know a lie. Unbearable. I'd laugh my ass off. My English teacher in 11th and 12th grade would stop the projector and look at stuff on her own. We always assumed it was work related. Well, one day I was doing shit on the computer in between classes and looked at the history. There was porn basically. I looked at the history after she left the class from that day on, but there wasn't any porn after that one time at range shit. She don't trust y'all. Not actually me, but my friends told me how a math teacher accidentally projected porn in the classroom. Sometime later he became my teacher too. Somehow I turned him into a weeb. I know because we saw him buying manga in a shop nearby a few weeks after I told him about an anime named Dororo. You've done the wrong thing. I'm in the Anti-Weeb Federation. Our job is to destroy recruiters like you. Here's rubber gun cocking. John Cena mode activated. Are you sure about that? There's too many of us and too much material. We can't be stopped. Super Tension Topper Gurren Lagann mode activated. One time a teacher told a student to stop bitching. This was middle school, by the way. OMG, I love this. I went to a pretty rural middle school in Bumduck, Indiana, and this sounds like some shit the teachers would say. Walking in on my E3 teacher shagging my mum at our house. Plot twist, he's your dad. Haha, nah, I was in E5, and he was my old E3 teacher. Mum said it would have been weird to sleep with him while I was in E3, but OBV didn't give a shit about me seeing the guy in the playground. It was an awkward 2 years before I left that school. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.